Hello everyone, this is Dr. Omahani Khan, and today we are going to explore a rare yet remarkably beautiful remedy, Comocladia dentata. This remedy may not be frequently prescribed, but when such a patient sits before you, they stand out effortlessly. You simply cannot ignore them. It feels as if a queen is sitting among ordinary people. There is a natural awareness that this person carries something distinct, something elevated. The aura they radiate can be described as magnanimous, a greatness of soul. When we speak of a magnanimous attitude, we refer to individuals who are deeply noble, generous, and forgiving. These patients often describe that even if conflicts arise, they prefer to resolve them immediately. They do not carry forward small disputes or turn them into something bigger. They end things gracefully, right at the moment. However, if you look for a desire for peace or tranquility in the usual sense, this remedy may not appear there. A very important aspect that helps us understand this personality is the rubric dream of tyrannical oppression. Dreams are expressions of our deepest psychological layers, where unspoken fears, suppressed emotions, and past traumas find a voice. These are the experiences a person cannot share openly, so they settle deep within the subconscious and emerge through dreams. Now the question arises, why does such a graceful, mature, and composed individual experience dreams of oppression? When you observe these patients, you often wonder how they have developed such strength at such an age, mentally and physically. The answer lies in their past. Somewhere in their life, they have experienced fear, intimidation, suppression, lack of freedom, or domination. They may have encountered a narcissistic personality who controlled or silenced them. Because of this, their system has adapted into a constant survival mode. Their defense mechanism is always active, yet it is not outwardly visible. What you see instead is strength, dignity, and resilience. You see a warrior, not a victim. Their presence resembles that of an army general: strong posture, firm values, disciplined behavior, and an unshakable sense of ethics. Compared to someone fragile and exhausted by life, this individual appears composed and powerful. You may notice a slight resemblance to Ignatia in their sensitivity, but unlike Ignatia, they do not fight to prove what is right or wrong. They have moved beyond that struggle. At the same time, there is an aversion to people, a withdrawal from unnecessary contact. This may remind you of sepia, as the patient avoids interaction, not out of indifference, but because past experiences have made them cautious. They have endured enough toxicity and no longer wish to engage in it. Another striking feature is their reaction to life's problems. While others may react intensely to minor conflicts, this patient remains calm and unaffected. It is similar to a soldier who has returned from a battlefield. When exposed to ordinary issues, they perceive them as insignificant. Their perspective is shaped by having faced much greater challenges. They think, I have already endured storms far greater than this, why should I get entangled in trivial matters? The word magnanimous comes from magnus meaning great and animus meaning soul. It truly reflects a great heart. When such a patient sits before you, they touch your soul. Their way of sitting, speaking, handling life, their grooming, their responses to challenges, everything carries a sense of grace and quiet strength. They are different, deeply different, and that difference comes from the depth of their experiences and the greatness of their heart. This remedy belongs to the Anacardiaceae family, and when we study the symptoms of this family, a very deep and striking pattern begins to unfold. As I explained earlier, these patients often have dreams of oppression, reflecting a history of intense cruelty in their past. Many of them are victims of narcissistic abuse. When you observe the core themes of this family, everything aligns so clearly. There is a profound sense of mental stiffness, a feeling of being stuck, restricted, and internally bound. This stiffness is not random. It develops because an external force has held them so tightly, controlled them so intensely, that they feel unable to move, almost as if they have been paralyzed from within. To truly understand this state, you must understand narcissism. It behaves like a mental cancer. A narcissistic individual drains, controls, and overpowers their victim in such a subtle yet dangerous way that the damage runs deep. It does not matter how educated or strong a person is, this kind of abuse can paralyze anyone. They restrict you financially, suppress you emotionally, and keep you in a constant state of fear and intimidation. The body is continuously made to feel as if it is in danger, and yet there seems to be no escape. The manipulation is so refined that outsiders often cannot even recognize what is happening. This is why these patients often have aggravation in the house. The very environment they live in becomes suffocating, because the same people who dominate and exploit them are present there. If you think about it, when someone is held tightly and not allowed to breathe or move, the moment they are released, they will feel better with movement. Movement represents freedom, liberation, and release from that constant internal pressure. This is why in such patients, movement brings relief. It is a beautiful example of how deeply everything connects in homeopathy. You will not find such meaningful connections elsewhere. It is this depth that makes homeopathy not just a science, but an art that touches the soul. I truly love practicing homeopathy. It is my passion. The more I work in this field, the more energetic I feel. It never drains me. My intention behind sharing these observations is to motivate you all to continue practicing homeopathy. I understand that in the early phase of practice, there are many financial struggles. You have responsibilities, family expectations, and the pressure to settle in life. It becomes very challenging. But if you remain determined and continue working with sincerity and dedication, you will become an excellent homeopath. Always remember one thing. No matter how many struggles come into your life, do not abandon homeopathy. Treat it like a loyal life partner. Just as you would not leave a faithful partner during difficult times, do not leave this path. These struggles themselves become your source of wisdom. Over time, you will realize that the very hardships you once feared have shaped your understanding and strengthened your practice. The deeper your struggles, the greater your insight, and the more successful you will become. This remedy teaches us how to remain emotionally and morally strong. It teaches peace, but also shows an aversion to people, which is actually a survival mechanism. There is no hatred in them. It is simply that they have encountered too many toxic individuals in their past, and they choose to protect themselves by maintaining distance. They have already been wounded deeply, and this withdrawal is their way of healing. Every remedy in homeopathy is unique, and every patient reflects a different shade of that remedy. This is the beauty of homeopathy. To grow in this field, you must stay connected with your teachers. Study their successful cases, analyze them deeply, and learn from them. Whether you are a student or in the early phase of your practice, this connection is essential. At the same time, observe your own patients, analyze their patterns, and keep studying. Do not waste your time, because as life progresses, responsibilities increase and time becomes limited. Medicine also teaches us the importance of a safe emotional environment. For good mental health, it is essential to have people around you who make you feel secure, valued, and supported. Otherwise, the impact of toxic environments continues into adulthood and even old age, affecting major life decisions. That is why it is so important to surround yourself with positive, nurturing individuals who care for themselves and for others. If you observe these patients closely, you will notice a deep internal feeling of being trapped or lifeless. Imagine holding someone so tightly that they cannot move. Slowly, they begin to feel dead from within, because movement is life and freedom. When that freedom is taken away, the person feels suffocated at the deepest level. If someone makes you feel that way, it is a serious warning. It is important to recognize this and remove such toxic influences from your life as early as possible. This remedy is truly profound. It not only helps us understand disease but also teaches us about strength, survival, and the importance of inner freedom. Now let us move to another important dimension of this remedy. When you study its doctrine, you find the presence of a chemical component called urushiol, which is known to cause contact dermatitis. But as homeopaths, we do not stop at the surface. We go deeper and try to understand what lies beneath. When we analyze contact dermatitis from an inner perspective, a clear pattern emerges. The nervous system of such individuals remains in a constant state of high alert. As I explained earlier, when a person has gone through intense and dangerous forms of abuse, their system naturally shifts into survival mode. This is something we have already understood layer by layer, and now we are looking at the final layer, the one that becomes visible before our eyes. These patients exhibit hypervigilance. They are excessively cautious, always alert, always scanning their environment. The question is, why does their body remain in such an emergency state again and again, as if constantly warning them that they are in danger? The answer is simple. Their past has been filled with danger. When someone has repeatedly experienced threat and harm, it is unrealistic to expect that they will suddenly perceive the future with ease and relaxation. Their system stays switched on because it has learned that danger is real and ever present. They carry their past impressions within them, and the nervous system adapts accordingly. The body is constantly trying to protect itself. Old wounds run so deep that even a small present situation can trigger the memory of that same pain. The mind begins to anticipate that the same harm may happen again. This makes them highly defensive, and much of this response is driven by emotional flashbacks. You will notice that their internal alarm system is extremely active. Even in their tone, there is a sense of anticipation. If a conflict begins, they often predict where it might lead. They sense escalation and choose to resolve it immediately, preventing it from growing. They end small issues before they become large problems. Here, an important rubric comes into play: mind clairvoyance in sleep. This refers to a kind of knowing before something actually happens. Why does this occur? Because their nervous system becomes highly trained in pattern recognition. In the past, they have constantly tried to read the moods and behaviors of their abusers. Over time, the mind becomes so refined that it starts picking up even the smallest signals. It scans micro-expressions, tone shifts, and subtle changes, and begins predicting outcomes. As a result, the mind remains in a state of hyper-arousal. Even during rest, when a person should relax or sleep, the system does not fully switch off. The subconscious mind continues to stay active, almost as if it is still in fight or flight mode. From this, a kind of intuition develops. They become highly sensitive to potential threats, always alert to what might go wrong. They often imagine worst-case scenarios, thinking ahead about what could happen and what the consequences might be. And when events unfold in a way similar to what they anticipated, they feel as if they had already seen it before. This is not magic. It is the result of an extremely sensitive and overtrained mind that remains active 24 hours a day, constantly trying to detect danger. These individuals are deeply sensitive and emotional, yet they are genuinely good human beings. They do not wish to harm anyone. However, in this process, they often lose a lot in life. Their heightened sensitivity, shaped by past trauma, becomes both their strength and their struggle. This remedy beautifully teaches us how the body and mind adapt to survive, how sensitivity can transform into awareness, and how past experiences shape present perception. I hope this deepens your understanding. We will continue exploring further in the next study session. Until then, take care.
झूठ, बातचीत में झूठ, खास तौर से मजाक में झूठ। मजाक में झूठ क्या है? एंटरटेनमेंट, मजलिस की रौनक है वो। आदमी कुछ भी झूठ बोल देता है और झूठी बातें बना बना के बोलता है, और इसमें कोई भी उसको खौफ महसूस नहीं होता है। अल्लाह के नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाते हैं, वैलुन लिल्लज़ी युहद्दिथु फयकज़िब, बर्बादी है उस आदमी के लिए जो बात करें और झूठ बोले, लोगों में गपशप करें और झूठी बातें करें। लियुदहिका बिहिल कौम वैलुल लहू वैलुल लहू। झूठ क्यों बोले? लोगों को हंसाने के लिए। लोगों को हंसाने के लिए क्या करें? झूठ बोले। बर्बादी है उसके लिए, बर्बादी है उसके लिए। कितनी मरतबा का बर्बादी है? पहली मरतबा, और आखिर में कितनी मरतबा? तो कुल मिला के कितने हुए? छोटी बर्बादी है, 3 मरतबा का। उसके लिए क्या है? वही लहू, बर्बादी है उसके लिए, बर्बादी है उसके लिए, बर्बादी है उसके लिए। किसके लिए? जो लोगों को हंसाने के लिए झूठ बोलता है। और जोक क्या है? जोक्स क्या है? कोई इसको बुरा समझता है तो जोक है, क्या हो इसके अंदर? तो झूठ है ना, झूठ बोल रहा है तू लोगों को हंसाने के लिए। ये हदीस क्या बता रही है? झूठ बोल के लोगों को हंसाना सही नहीं है, लेकिन लोग उसको बुरा समझते हैं नहीं। मजलिस के अंदर टाइम पास के लिए झूठी कुछ भी बातें बोलते हैं, अपनी भी बातें झूठ घड़ के बोल देता है आदमी। बाज़ औक़ात किसी से सुनता है कोई जोक, मेरे साथ ऐसा हो गया बोल के बना के बोल देता है। क्यों? लोग हंसे हैं। और थोड़ी मेरी ऐसा हुआ, मैं एक से ऐसा बात किया तो उसने ऐसा हुआ और ऐसा किया, लोग हंस दिए उसके ऊपर। हालांकि इसके साथ वाकया नहीं हुआ था। कौन पकड़ पाए? कौन देखा? कौन पकड़ेगा? किसको मालूम पड़ेगा? लेकिन क्या हो जाएगा? एंटरटेनमेंट, मजलिस की रौनक मैं बनूंगा, मजलिस की मरकजी शख्सियत मैं बनूंगा। लोग घड़ घड़ की झूठी बातें इस तरह की बयान करते हैं। बिल्कुल भी ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए। मैं सऊदी में था ना, वहाँ लोग ऐसा कुछ भी बोलता थे वहाँ पे। अपनी तरफ से गड़ गड़ के कुछ होता, कौन देखा इसको क्या करता था। हम लोग जाते थे, यूँ खाते थे, ऐसे होटल में जाते थे, यूँ करते थे, देखा मैं कोने में रहता था कहाँ तो भी 50 लोगों के साथ नीचे वो भी। लेकिन झूठी अपनी शान के लिए क्या करता है, कुछ भी बोलता है और हंसने की बातें करता है, तो दूसरों के ऊपर डालता है, कभी कभी इसका मामला रहता है, एक ऐसा था, हाँ बांग्लादेश का ऐसा था, फलाना केरला का ऐसा था, फलाना अमेरिका का ऐसा था, कुछ भी बना के बोलता है ऐसा। झूठ बात बोल के लोगों को हंसाना जायज़ नहीं है। तो ये भी एक बुराई जो माशरे में आम है। अल्लाह ताला ने फरमाया इन्नल्लाह ला यहदी मन हुवा कादिबुन कफ़ार, अल्लाह ताला उस शख्स को राह नहीं सुझाता जो बहुत ही झूठा और नाशुक्रा हो, या इनकार करने, कफ़ारा इनकार करना, कफ़ार नाशुक्रा भी होता है और झूठा भी होता है, इनकार करने वाला भी होता है। और कादिब का मतलब झूठ बोलने वाला। झूठ बोलने वाले को अल्लाह की तरफ से तौफीक नहीं मिलती है। झूठ मुनाफिकीन की सिफत है, मुसलमानों की नहीं। झूठ किसकी सिफत है? मुनाफिक। इज़ा हद्दसा कज़ब, बात करें झूठ बोले। ये कौन करता है? मुनाफिक। आज झूठ बोलना क्या है? मामूल बन चुका है। आदमी कुछ भी झूठ बोल देता है, कुछ भी बोल देता है। आप देखिए ऑफिस से फोन आ रहा है, या किसी दोस्त का आ रहा है, या किसी शख्स का आ रहा है, कहाँ है भाई, पहुंचे नहीं, हम लोग इंतजार कर रहे हैं, बस रास्ते में हूँ। रास्ते में नहीं, घर में, किचन में, लेकिन क्या बोल रहा है? रास्ते में, रास्ते में हो, झूठ बोलता है। तो ये चीज़ क्या है? झूठ है। लेट क्यों हो गए? ट्रैफिक बहुत था, कुछ भी नहीं था, पूरा सन्नाटा था, कुछ भी बोला ये टाइम को ट्रैफिक, रात की 3 बजे, सुबह की 6 बजे, कहाँ से ट्रैफिक था? कोई ट्रैफिक रहता है, अच्छी की कुछ खास शहरों में होता होगा, गाँव देहात में कहाँ से ट्रैफिक रहता है भाई? वो ट्रैफिक था, मैं नहीं आ सका, लेट हुआ। झूठ बात आदमी बोलता है, कितनी झूठी बातें करता है आदमी, नहीं बोलना चाहिए। तो ये इतने झूठ हैं, गिनाएंगे तो लिस्ट खत्म नहीं होगी जल्दी। इतने झूठ बोलता है आमतौर से आदमी आज, अपने नाम के लिए, अपनी इज्जत बचाने के लिए, शोहरत पाने के लिए आदमी झूठ बोलता है। तो ये झूठ नहीं बोलना चाहिए, अल्लाह की हिदायत सल्ब हो जाती है। अल्लाह ताला फरमाता है इन्नल्लाह ला यहदी मन हुवा मुसरिफुन कज़्ज़ाब। सूरह गाफिर में अल्लाह ने फरमाया कि अल्लाह ताला उस शख्स को हिदायत नहीं देता जो इसराफ करने वाला यानी हदें पार करने वाला हो और बहुत झूठा हो। तो झूठे आदमी को अल्लाह हिदायत नहीं देता, यानी ज़िंदगी में तौफीक उसको नहीं मिल पाती है, उसकी इसकी अकल सही नहीं चलती। वो अपने आप को अक्लमंद समझता है कि मैं झूठ बोलने से क्या है, मैं बहुत अक्लमंद हूँ, मेरा झूठ कोई पकड़ता नहीं, किसी को कुछ मालूम नहीं, मैं झूठ बोल रहा हूँ। अल्लाह की हिदायत सल्ब हो जाती है, अल्लाह की रहनुमाई उसको नहीं मिल पाती है, वो हक़ को उसकी असल सूरत में देख नहीं पाता है। झूठ की वजह से उसकी बसीरत मांद पड़ जाती है, सच्चाई से दिल में जिला पैदा होती है, झूठ से दिल पर धब्बे लग जाते हैं। आदमी को चाहिए कि वो झूठ से बचे। अल्लाह के नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाते हैं कभी झूठ और संगीन क्यों हो जाता है कि झूठ किसी और की इज्जत के बारे में हो। झूठ क्या हो? झूठी तहमत हो। अल्लाह के नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाते हैं रअयतुल लैलता रजुलैनि अतयानी, रात में मैंने देखा 2 शख्स मेरे पास आए। क़ाला अल्लज़ी रअयतहु युशक्कु शिदक़ुहु व कज़्ज़ाब, कहा कि ए नबी, उन दोनों ने कहा फरिश्ते कि ए नबी आपने जिस शख्स को देखा था कि जिसके जबड़े फाड़ दिए गए थे, जिसका मुंह फाड़ दिया गया था, वो क्या है? फ़कज़्ज़ाब, वो झूठा आदमी है। उसकी सज़ा क्या थी? उसका मुंह चीर दिया गया। यकज़िबु बिल कज़्बति तुहमलु अन्हु हत्ता तबलुग़ल आफ़ाक़, वो झूठ घर घर के लोगों में बयान करता था और फिर उसके ज़रिए से, उससे शुरू होकर वो झूठ दुनिया के कोने कोने तक पहुंच जाता था। फ़युस्नअ बिही इला यौमिल क़ियामा, इसका जो मुंह फाड़ा जा रहा है क़ियामत तक की इसको यही सज़ा बरज़ख में मिलती रहेगी। क़ियामत तक बरज़ख में, मालूम है कि क़ियामत से पहले भी सज़ा मिलती है, तो बरज़ख में इसको सज़ा क्या मिलेगी? उसका मुंह फाड़ दिया जाएगा, फिर सही होगा, फिर फाड़ा जाएगा, फिर सही, फिर फाड़ा जाएगा, ये मुसलसल सज़ा उसको मिलेगी। क्यों? ये कुछ भी झूठ बोल देता था लोगों में, और वो झूठ उसका क्या होता था? 1 से 2, 2 से 4, 4 से 40, 50 दुनिया भर में फैल जाता था। आज कितने लोग हैं झूठी बातें व्हाट्सएप पे फैला देते हैं,